Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for a tale of risk, failure, and success. I'm Sharon Wiles-Young, Director of Library Access Services at Lehigh University. And with me is...
My name is Chulin Meng. I'm the Director of Library Technology.
And let us start. Okay, so we would like to start off with a little outline here, giving some of the background and history of Lehigh to put it in context for yourselves, and how we moved from our vendor SIRSI Dynix to the OLE. And then we'll go into a little discussion of balancing risks and benefits when you're doing a migration. And I will give you some overview of the migration to OLE and what we learned, and then end off with FOLIO and our risk assessment going to FOLIO during COVID-19, and what we expect to get out of FOLIO, and a little demo now that we are live with FOLIO. So let's start. We have two libraries on campus. The Fairchild Martindale Library is our largest library, and that holds the sciences, engineering, social science collections in that building, and business also. And up in Linderman Library, it's our historic library, as you can tell, and it houses special collections, and our arts and humanities collections, and our technical services department is up in Linderman Library. Here's another shot of Linderman on the inside of our rotunda, and just so you have a kind of a ballpark figure of where Lehigh is as a mid-sized university. We have about 5,000 undergrads and 2,000 graduate students. The interesting fact about Lehigh Libraries is we're merged with technology services. So that's everything from Center of Teaching and Learning to the academic and the administrative computing is all under library and technology services. Our ILS database size, just to give you a ballpark figure, we're over 1 million records and items in our database, and that's growing incredibly now that we have been adding a lot of e-resource materials during this time of COVID. So to give you the background on how we migrated and when we migrated, SIRSI Dynix, we migrated from GIAC to SIRSI Dynix in the summer of '95. We went to Kuali OLE in August of 2014 with the University of Chicago. And now we're on FOLIO. That just happened August 17th. We went over to FOLIO successfully. So what happened with SIRSI Dynix? Why didn't we stay on SIRSI Dynix as long as we stayed on GIAC? Well, things are changing in the technology world. We had costs going up for our vendor-based systems, and we didn't see for those costs much changes happening in upgrades or enhancements. Enhancements requests were getting pushed to the side for some of our electronic resources because other libraries had other important things happening, and the academic libraries moving towards electronic, and other innovations were not being addressed by SIRSI Dynix. And we're not really looking at new technologies. So Lehigh started thinking, well, we're risk takers in technology, so let's look at our other options. And we started looking at open source and thinking about community development and development by librarians for librarians, and kind of just moving away from an ILS management system to more of applications using applications and more of a platform system. So those are the key features we were looking for. And at the same time, Lehigh Technology Services and Libraries were using some open source technologies already. We were using Omeka for some of our digital exhibitions for special collections and other digital work. The technology side of the house, the IT division, was using Moodle as an open source platform for courses and where the coursework is kept. And we started using Viewfind. This is very interesting. We were using Viewfind as a discovery layer, even against SIRSI Dynix. So we were using open source and using how technology now was breaking apart, and an ILS doesn't have to be one huge system. We could take the discovery layer and put that against SIRSI Dynix. That was a very big success in our migration to OLE because we already had Viewfind in place. We needed the connector to OLE, but otherwise, our users did not know we went over to Kuali OLE because we kept the same Viewfind discovery layer that we had with SIRSI Dynix. So that's just a tidbit of information for you. Our systems analyst used Extensible Catalog to build her NSIP connection. She used their toolkit to build the connection for OLE. And currently we're using Islandora as our institutional repository software. So we're very enmeshed in the open source world. And now I'll turn it over to Chulin.
Okay. I will talk about some of our experience of being part of the Kuali OLE project and the FOLIO collaboration, as well as being an early adopter for both OLE and FOLIO systems, and share some lessons learned about balancing risks and benefit. Implementing a new library management system is a major undertaking. That's why libraries are doing lengthy IFP process when selecting a new system. Deciding whether to be part of the open source community to develop and adopt a completely new library management system can be even nerve-wracking. It's a new venture where there's a lot of uncertainty, and the libraries need to envision the unknowns and make many assumptions. When the Kuali OLE project started in 2007, libraries were looking for a new system that could manage both print and electronic resources effectively, a system with open architecture that would enable better integration with discovery applications and other library and campus systems. The benefits of Kuali OLE project for us then include we will be part of a community sourcing movement to reimagine and develop a new library management system together with other OLE partner libraries. We will be part of the Kuali campus technology ecosystem to have better integration with other campus applications. The risks with Kuali OLE project is that Kuali OLE is a new project. It's in development, and all the decisions are based on potentials and assumptions instead of actual products. The assumptions of sustainability and cost often need to be adjusted according to new developments. The technology stacks and architectures used by Kuali software suites are selected years ago and are for other campus applications like the Kuali financial system. Lehigh went live with Kuali OLE in 2014 with a minimum viable product together with University of Chicago and SOAS, with the assumption that more OLE partner libraries and many Kuali institutions will follow. A few things happened to Kuali OLE project and the Kuali community later illustrate the risks involved in open source development initiatives. Kuali Foundation decided that year to establish a commercial company, Kuali OLE, to support and sustain Kuali software suite. The OLE board then made the decision to leave Kuali Foundation and became a standalone project. The development of Kuali Rise, a middleware used as the enterprise service bus for OLE system, was slow. Kuali Rise wasn't able to support the multi-tenant architecture needed for OLE's envisioned consortium features. It's too costly for the OLE project to migrate the code off to a new technology stack. For Lehigh and other OLE partner libraries, the FOLIO collaboration, working with EBSCO and the broader library community, provide a good option to continue our quest for the open source library service platform. With EBSCO's financial and technical investment, as well as the engagement of broader library community, FOLIO collaboration has the potential of developing a new library managed platform with new technology stacks and redesigned architecture, while we still be able to leverage OLE projects, use stories, functional requirements, and community structures. Recently, we made a decision to go early again with FOLIO. For us, although OLE is stable and functioning well, EIM is not fully developed in OLE system, and there is not that much new feature development with OLE. We would like to migrate to FOLIO when it's available to minimize the risk of running on outdated technology infrastructure. Our staff have been involved in FOLIO 6 from the beginning. We have been running a local FOLIO test instance and migrating data from OLE to FOLIO. The advantage of the broader staff engagement in the FOLIO project is that our staff are excited about FOLIO and we're ready to migrate to FOLIO when the minimum requirements are met. I believe that our staff enthusiasm and willingness to work with the new product are important to our success for FOLIO implementation this August. To summarize the lessons learned from our long journey of questing the open source library management system, we need to plan ahead to minimize the risk of developing and adopting new technology. We need to define success and operational requirements, to document assumptions and plan key checkpoints. We need to evaluate early and often to test the assumptions and pivot to new directions if needed. And lastly, to involve all stakeholders, particularly involve all library staff throughout the process, as they can provide insight in areas that risk might rise. Back to you, Sharon.
Okay, thank you. So what are some of the possibilities and outcomes that we discovered when we went over to Kuali OLE? Not only did we have some risks, but we did have some outcomes that were tremendous and taught us quite a bit. So our staff were able to look at the code below Kuali OLE, and we have been able to solve some problems for even our technology team. We had the code accessible to us and available to kind of make analysis and solutions. Our data was in areas we could pull it out and put it in Mark Edit or put it in spreadsheets. So the data we could get as staff members and not have to include the technology team all the time. We're learning so many skills. We were learning SQL. We were learning how to work with Jira. We were learning functional requirements, how to work alongside with developers. Many skills we ramped up and learned. We had integration with our university data. One of our systems, the Oracle Identity Management System, our systems analyst built a web service to push the university ID data into our system, no longer having to update files and do all that. That data was up to date and pushed into our system. Integration with other library systems. We integrated with our ILL system, and that was working well as well. So that was nice. We were trying to do other software to work along with our open source OLE database, and I'll give you an example of that later. And this gave us an opportunity to really rethink our library workflows and our processes. We came up with streamlining things. We came up with a different way to work between acquisitions and ILL, and I'll show you some examples there. And as I mentioned before, we could integrate the ViewFind discovery layer, and that was a very big success for our users. And the other interesting thing is we got to work alongside with IT staff from the University of Chicago and others on teams, and we would have never met IT staff or library technology staff from other libraries. The work side by side with the University of Chicago and SOAS was just invaluable. We learned so much from each other and relied on each other. So let's see. So here's the example of the interface with the university system. So this is the OLE patron record for somebody, and that all that data got brought over from the Oracle Identity Management System. Our other accomplishments in Kuali OLE is our systems analyst built an app or an API that would update all our ILL requests so we didn't manually have to do them one by one. We did, we created alerts in circulation based on item types. So if something had to be returned to cataloging, we could put that note in and the circulation staff would see it when they checked it back in. We did that all ourselves in tech services. And then, as I said before, the staff can pull large files out and bring them into Open Refine and work on them or mark edit. And we learned how to do some SQL queries, and our system analysts built some wonderful budget reports for us and automated the process and sent them out to our collection librarians, and they had all their data there. And then we started putting other data together, looking at our ILL data versus our circulation data. So we were starting to do some more analysis of our work in OLE, which was nice. And here's the example, another example I promised you about code work that our system analyst did in Kuali OLE. She built the ILL app, which would bring out ILL requests that were asked for over and over that were duplicates. And we would send those on by an email to the subject librarian. It was broken down by the call number and subject area and sent to the right outreach subject librarian. And then that librarian made the decision if they wanted to push it on to order for our collection or not. The other workflow you see here is the missing app that our system analyst built off the item type of missing. And this started off her procedure to look at items that are missing by call number and subject area and shoot them to the outreach subject librarian, to the correct librarian. They would get an email. In that email, they could make a choice to reorder the item or do not reorder and send it to cataloging for withdrawn. The exciting part of this process was the code would send it to cataloging and automatically mark it withdrawn. A note withdrawn was added and checkbox to not show it to the discovery layer at all anymore, so to shadow the record. And that was all automated. A cataloger did not have to touch that record. So those are some of the exciting things that we realized in the possibility of open source software. This is a one interface that our systems analysts wanted to build, but couldn't do it under the Kuali OLE database, but she wanted to start building dashboards instead of shooting emails at the outreach subject librarians. She wanted to have a dashboard so they could see what needed to be reviewed, what got sent to ordered, and all of those things, but we couldn't do that at this time. So we started thinking about moving on. As Chulin noted, Kuali OLE was not going to be developed any further, so we had to think about where we wanted to go and when we wanted to go to the next step, because we were still working with our OLE partners. We were still working on subject teams in the FOLIO OLE infrastructure. So OLE, I would say, brought a lot of infrastructure to the FOLIO project. They used our JIRA, they used all the same tools. So the infrastructure and the teams and the subject experts were still there in place, which was very helpful to EBSCO, who underwrote most of this project. So this was a risk. In that the timing, when to go to FOLIO. As Chulin said, we were testing all along. And we had our database loaded so we could test against that, as well as the FOLIO databases we were testing. In fact, some of our librarians were on the testing team for FOLIO to help find bugs and do that work as well. So we decided to go in the summer, this summer, August 17th, just last month. We had to really talk to our committee on Zoom, the Lehigh Implementation Committee, to say, are we ready? Are we not ready? It's we're working remotely. Is this gonna be a good time to train? It is all the functionality there that we need. So we decided to go and pivot to the library service platform. We found that we want to be better integrated, and we saw the capabilities in Kuali OLE, and we wanted to move beyond, and we really wanted to go to FOLIO. So why migrate now? Why would we be one of the first libraries again to go to an open source project that's not completely done? So our decision points was, can we do it without Chicago? We, as we said, the constant analysis of the functionality, was it all there for us? We felt like most of it was released. We realized where the weak spots were in the acquisitions app. We needed some help there, and our system analyst built a little workaround, a big workaround actually, to load MARC records at the time of order, so we did not have to manually put in or overlay MARC records right from the beginning. So this automated some of the process for us. Our system analyst made sure the Oracle ID management interface worked with FOLIO, so all our user data could come over like we were used to. And If we went the next summer, not this summer, but the following summer in 2021, we might have a different staffing. We knew one staff member had moved to the technology teams in LTS, and we felt like we didn't know that unknown about what our staffing would be like. So this is the time we felt to do this. We were also, because we were in a remote on-learning environment at Lehigh for the summer, our circulation, of course, is down, not being used for print. And PALC and our Easy Borrow and ILL services were very scaled back. So this was a good time as far as workload to kind of migrate. So we found that as an advantage. So let me go into our FOLIO database just to show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. So here's Kuali. The interesting thing that we haven't said yet is we still have Kuali OLE running on our servers. So that is another nice benefit of having an open source system. We still have our data. Of course, you see all those warnings, don't update anything in here. This is, we're over on FOLIO, but if we need to look up something, if something in our data migration didn't go well, we knew we could get that data. So this was a kind of a nice fallback. And the reason I'm showing you this is because you can see it was definitely text-based, very text-based, and not a very friendly UI at all. So and when you compare it to FOLIO UI, this is what FOLIO looks like. And these are all the apps that are available. And we've come up with all apps, even if we're not using one or two of them very heavily right now, we want to use most of the functionality here. So you can see that there's further apps, and I will bring up user information and just you can see how different this looks from the OLE screenshot I showed you earlier. And here's all the data that comes over from our ID management, and then you can see loans and closed loans and proxy information. So this is very extensive user record compared to the one in OLE. And then the other big app that I would just want to show you quickly is basically the inventory or instances and our items and holdings. And you can see kind of how the records are structured. The nice thing about FOLIO is you can choose not to put item records on your electronic and just have holdings on your electronics. So what FOLIO is trying to do for metadata is build out, instead of just MARC format. So if you want to bring in archival records or finding aids or any of that kind of stuff, you can do that as well. So those are, this is the look and feel, and I just wanted to give you an overview of where we are and how different the system is. All right, so let's, oops, I gotta get back to, all right, sorry about that. Let's go back to, so sorry about that. So what are our aspirations for FOLIO at Lehigh? We really want to start using our electronic resource management apps. So you saw in there, there's some licensing apps, agreements, there's places for trials, and there's also e-usage and holdings that we need to look at. We have our data in Coral, and we're thinking maybe some of that data can migrate out of Coral, which is open source, and into Folio, and we don't have to recreate some of that e-resources data that we've built up. We did bring over our vendor file and our organization files, so that is very helpful. But we're excited about the whole cycle of electronic resources and managing that in one system. The LDP, or the Library Data Platform, has been built in Folio, which is a wonderful tool. And staff are learning SQL queries. And what we're hoping to do with those queries is to bring them out to a data visualization tool and to use some of that visualization to do analysis and to market some of our resources and use data and put data together. The other exciting thing is this library data platform will allow other university data points or statistics to be brought into that platform, and then we can compare data and use it that way. So that is very powerful, and we're really looking forward to that. The use of tags to help pull out collection data. So there's tag in Folio, there are tags in different places that we could do collection analysis on, or ILL use on. And then the very exciting thing is index data, and others are working on Project Reshare, which is an ILL application. And that it will be integrated into Folio, and we'll have that all working within our system. So we have all the ILL data and other integrations we could do there, which is exciting. And then one goal we never met was interfacing with other university systems. We integrated with the ID management Oracle database, but nothing else. And we'd love to integrate into Banner, our financial system. And wouldn't it be nice if the app, I don't know if you noticed, had course reserves, could be pushed over into Moodle and on our course site. So it's not residing in the catalog, but it's where the students are on their course site, Moodle site. All right. So what are our aspirations for the greater Folio community? Sustainability, it's always a risk in open source projects, but this time in Folio, we have vendor involvement and all types of libraries. They have grown. Um, and, and in fact, it's global, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So we have all types of libraries. We have cloud hosting offered by vendors, migration tools offered by vendors. That's a difference than Kuali OLE. And we're part of an open library foundation now. So Folio is not only by itself, it's in a foundation with Viewfind and other open source projects. So more libraries are going into production in the summer of 2021. That would be Duke, Cornell, Texas A&M, and some really large libraries. So we're very excited about that. And we're helping right now by pointing out some, excuse me, bugs that will really have to be fixed before a large library like these are going to go live, like mark import and some other little bugs we've determined, and so the development is going on with that. So that's the nice thing about going early, is we're helping the project to identify bugs in areas that are critical to bigger libraries. And the global community, we are global. We have a lot of German partners. We have partners in Hungary. The Hungarian National Library is with us. We have Shanghai Public Library, which is huge, and they're coming up as well. So it's very exciting, and the Folio interface has different languages, and can be the settings can be changed to different languages, which is exciting in itself. So we're looking forward to more workflow development, automating processes, and integrating with APIs, and doing some more app work in Folio. So it's all very exciting, because there's some strategic goals we didn't meet in Kuali OLE that we definitely will meet in Folio. And because we are all working remote, we had a celebration, and of course it couldn't be a luncheon or having cake together. We had to do it on Zoom, but we had a lovely time on Zoom. So thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to hearing, and Chulin looks forward to hearing your questions and any wonderments you might have about Folio. Thank you. Bye-bye.